Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Prescott and I am here at Succinct Psychology, and today we are going to start Chapter 10, Motivation and Emotion, from the online OpenStax Psychology 2E textbook. So without further ado, let's get going. So, motivation and emotion. Emotions can change in an instant, especially in response to an unexpected event. Surprise, fear, anger, and sadness are some immediate emotions that people experience in the aftermath of the April 15, 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. You can see right there, not a pleasant experience. So, what are emotions? What causes them? What motivated some bystanders to immediately help others while other people ran for safety? So, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. So motivation is the wants or needs that direct behavior toward a goal. Intrinsic motivation arises from internal factors, so obviously your own internal. Behaviors are performed because they bring a sense of personal satisfaction. Now, extrinsic motivation arises from external factors. Behaviors are performed in order to receive something from others. So intrinsic motivation from within, autonomy, mastery, purpose, those are your motivations. Extrinsic motivation is compensation, or you don't want to get punished, or you want a reward. So, over-justification of that effect. Intrinsic motivation is diminished when extrinsic motivation is given. Research suggests that when something we love to do, like icing cakes, becomes our job, our intrinsic and extrinsic motivations to do it may change. Once we are receiving an extrinsic motivation, like being paid, we may lose the motivation to do it just for enjoyment. Other research suggests the opposite, that certain types of reinforcement, such as praise, can increase intrinsic motivation. So, explanations of differences. 1. Type of reinforcement. Tangible rewards appear to decrease intrinsic motivation. Intangible rewards appear to increase motivation. And 2. Expectation of extrinsic reward. Intrinsic motivation is more likely to decrease if extrinsic reward is expected. So an outward reward is expected. So, yeah. Wait, whoops. Sorry, guys. All right, so instinct theory of motivation by William James. He proposed the instinct theory of motivation, asserting that behavior is driven by instincts, which aid survival. He proposed instincts included a mother's protection of her baby, the urge to lick sugar, and hunting prey. The theory received criticism for ignoring the role of learning in shaping human behavior. So here you have William James, and here you have a woman breastfeeding her child. In humans, instincts may include behaviors such as an infant's rooting or a nipple and sucking. Now, the drive theory of motivation. Drive theory proposed that the maintenance of homeostasis is important in directing behavior. Deviations from homeostasis create physiological needs, resulting in psychological drive states that direct behavior to meet the need and bring the system back to homeostasis. Emphasizes the role that habits, pattern of behavior in which we regularly engage, play in behavioral responses. So if a behavior successfully reduces the drive, we are more likely to engage in that behavior in future. So here you have a little girl eating some watermelon, sushi, and I don't know what she's eating, but it must be good. So that physiological drive state directs your motivation. So I'm guessing they're saying here motivation is they're hungry, so they're motivated to eat. Now, the arousal theory of motivation. Arousal theories assert that there's an optimal level of arousal that we all try to maintain. So if you're under-aroused, you become bored and you seek stimulation. If you're over-aroused, you engage in behaviors to reduce arousal. Research suggests that the optimal arousal level for performance is moderate arousal, so not under, not over. So here you can see the optimal level. Going from low, you have boredom or apathy, and if it's too high, you get anxious, you're overstimulated. So the concept of optimal arousal in relation to performance on a task is depicted here. Performance is maximized at the optimal level of arousal, and it tapers off during, under, and over arousal. So continuing on, Yerkes and Dodson, 1908. The optimal arousal level depends on the complexity and difficulty of the task to be performed. So the Yerkes-Dodson law says that task performance is best when arousal levels are in a middle range, with difficult tasks performed under lower levels of arousal and simple tasks being performed under higher levels of arousal. So here you can see the difficult tasks are performed under higher levels, easy tasks, yeah. Wait 1 second. Sorry. All right, self-efficacy, and social motivation. So, self-efficacy, an individual's belief in her own or his or her, I guess, own capability to complete a task. Bandura theorized that self-efficacy plays a role in motivating behavior and argues that motivation derives from expectations held about the consequences of behaviors. And beliefs about our abilities will determine what we do and goals we set for ourselves. So, social motives, need for an achievement, it drives accomplishment and performance. Your need for affiliation encourages positive interactions with each other or with others, and the need for intimacy causes us to seek deep, meaningful relationships, like having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So, if you guys remember this, we have seen this before, I believe in chapter 1, somewhere in there, somewhere early on. But this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So Abraham Maslow, in 1943, proposed a theory of motivation that spans the spectrum of motives, including biological, individual, and social. So one must satisfy lower level needs before addressing the needs in higher levels. So a person without food, water, and shelter is unlikely to be focused on relationships or what people think of them. So here you can see these are your most basic needs. Obviously you need food, water, shelter, and be warm. Before you can worry about safety, employment, and assets. In each level, you have physiological, security, social esteem, and self-actualization. So with each, you can't get the inner fulfillment if you don't have food and water, right? And you can't be worrying about self-worth, accomplishment, and confidence if you don't have safety, employment, and assets. So that's how the hierarchy works. Next, we have hunger and eating. So first off, we have physiological mechanisms. Hunger and eating are regulated by a complex interplay of hunger and satiety, signals that are integrated in the brain. Now, before eating, you have your empty stomach, your stomach contracts, and you have hunger pangs and secretion of chemical messages that travel to the brain as a signal to initiation feeding behavior, or to initiate feeding behavior. You also have low blood glucose levels. Your pancreas and liver generate chemical signals that induce hunger to initiate the feeding behavior. Now, after eating, you have satiation, feeling of fullness and satisfaction causing eating behavior to stop. So increase in blood glucose levels after eating, your pancreas and liver send signals to shut off that hunger and eating. And food passes through gastrointestinal tract, satiety signals are sent to the brain, and fat cells release leptin, or satiety hormone. So here you have your hunger, you eat, you have satiety. Now, metabolism and body weight. Factors affecting body weight. Gene-environment interactions, the number of calories consumed versus number of calories burned in daily activity, and the metabolic rate. Now, metabolic rate is the amount of energy that is expended in a given period of time. It varies between individuals, and people with a high metabolic rate burn off calories more easily than those with lower rates of metabolism. So, regulation of body weight. The set point theory is that each individual has an ideal body weight / set point, which is resistant to change. Set point is genetically determined. Efforts to move weight significantly from the set point are resisted by compensatory changes in energy intake / expenditure, and is based on the observation that people's weight generally fluctuates within a narrow margin, but it fails to account for the influences of social and environmental factors. So I'll say that my set point is around 220 pounds. So I can lose a little weight, I can gain a little weight, but after a certain point, it's really hard for me to gain or lose weight. So if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments on what your set point is if you would like to, and if you know what it is. So, going on, obesity. So 2/3 of US adults struggle with issues related to being overweight. This chart shows how adult BMI is calculated. Individuals find their height on the y-axis, so right here, and their weight on the x-axis to determine their BMI. So having a BMI of 25 to 29.9 means you are overweight, over 30 is obese, and over 40 is morbidly obese. Now, environmental factors, as well as factors such as genetics and energy intake / expenditure, socioeconomic status, and the physical environment can contribute to obesity. So may not feel comfortable walking or biking in a neighborhood with high crime rates, which limits physical activity, and therefore you can't burn calories, you can't lose weight. And it may not be able, if you're lower income, to afford healthy food options, because a lot of times those tend to be a bit more pricey. So looking here, 6'4", my weight. Apparently I'm overweight. That's not good. Anyways, obesity. So health risks include cardiovascular disease, stroke, type 2 type 2 diabetes, breast cancer, infertility, arthritis, liver disease, sleep apnea, and colon cancer. So a lot of health risks with obesity. So weight reduction is a combination of diet and exercise. Now, bariatric surgery is a gastric banding surgery, creates a small pouch of stomach, reducing the size of the stomach that can be used for digestion. So here you go, you have your esophagus, so you down to your stomach, they put a band right around here, create a small stomach pouch so that you can't hold as much food in your actual stomach, so then you can't eat as much and hopefully lower your weight. Next, we have eating disorders. Now, bulimia nervosa involves engaging in binge eating behavior followed by attempts to compensate for the large amount of food consumed. Now, compensation can include vomiting, laxatives, or excessive exercise, and the health consequences can include kidney failure, heart failure, and tooth decay, since forcing yourself to vomit or using laxatives is very hard on your body. You're not supposed to be doing that after every meal. So it can jack up your kidneys, your heart. If you vomit stomach acid, it's decaying your teeth. Really not good for you. And even, too much of anything is not good for you. So even exercising all the time can cause your body to start to break down. You're putting it under too much duress. So some psychological problems include depression, anxiety, and increased risk for substance abuse. Now, anorexia nervosa is the maintenance of body weight below average through starvation and or exercise. It has people with it. I'm sorry, guys. First, beginning of the day. Now, distorted body image is when they view themselves as fat even though they are not. And health consequences can include bone loss, heart failure, kidney failure, amenorrhea, or cessation of the menstrual period, reduced function of the gonads, and in some cases death. Now, psychological problems again include anxiety disorders, mood disorders, and substance abuse. So a good way to remember the difference between these two is bulimia. I don't know why, but makes me think of binging. Yeah, like bowl binge. So bulimia nervosa, you engage in binge eating behavior and then you try and compensate for it. Anorexia nervosa is you just starve yourself and you overexercise, so you're underweight. Now, continuing on, Caucasian females ages 15 through 19 from Western societies are the most at-risk population. Contributing factors include that many blame the media for its messages of a thin ideal. Genetics may also predispose people to these disorders. Low self-esteem, other mental illness, life transitions, stress, experiences such as abuse and bullying. So if a slightly overweight kid gets bullied, that might cause a eating disorder. Personality types, so if they're a perfectionist, they want to be have the perfect body, so they might engage in these behaviors. And family issues. So here you can see young women in our society are inundated with images of extremely thin models. As you can see here, she's very skinny. Now, sexual behavior. So, physiological mechanisms. So the hypothalamus plays an important role in motivated behavior, including sex. Lesions to the medial preoptic area of the hypothalamus completely disrupt a male rat's ability to engage in sexual behavior, but it does not affect sexual motivation. He will still seek to gain access to sexually receptive females. This suggests that the ability to engage in sexual behavior and the motivation to do so are mediated by different systems in the brain. In humans, disorders that involve abnormal hypothalamic function are often associated with hypogonadism, or reduced function of the gonads, and reduced sexual function. Hormones secreted by endocrine glands, testosterone, influence sexual motivation and behavior. Now, physiological mechanisms continued. We have the amygdala and the nucleus accumbens. So these are involved in motivation for sexual behavior, but do not affect the ability to engage in it. So again, motivation and ability to engage is very different. You can still be motivated, just not able to. Now, damage in rats results in a decreased motivation to engage in sexual behavior, while ability to do so is still intact. So here, rather than decreased ability and same motivation, they just aren't motivated to engage in sexual behavior. So, Kinsey's research, and I actually saw a film about Kinsey, fun fact, and this will be the last slide that we do for this video, so I don't go too long and bore you guys. So Kinsey's research, in response to the lack of empirically based information on sex during the late 1940s, Dr. Alfred Kinsey initiated a large-scale survey. Behaviors thought to be rare were revealed to be much more common than previously thought, and they were influential in shaping future research on human sexual behavior and motivation. So, his findings: women are as interested in experiencing sex as men, because prior to this, it was widely thought that women were not interested or experienced with sex. And both males and females masturbate without negative health consequences. And again, before these findings, very religious America was trying to tell people that it was wrong to do so. And homosexual acts are fairly common, they're not some rare abnormality. Now, Kinsey's scale used to categorize an individual's sexual orientation. So, the next video, we will start, or not start, but continue chapter 10 here. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry, I kind of stuttered a lot there. Still waking up a little bit. But I hope you guys have a great day. Again, my name is Prescott. I'm here at Succinct Psychology, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Have a great day.